record this as the second part of the class for you because it's kind of useful. I've used this in lots of different ways. So what you can do is you can kind of break down a grid into looking at it as being, the horizontal lines that go from the distance to the foreground. And then there's the left to right lines. So the left to right lines are probably the trickier one to do. And then the top to bottom is quite easy. So I'm going to do the horizontal ones first. So I'm just going to draw a line. Okay, we're just going to start with black. We're not going to apply color to it yet. There's my first line. Okay. And then we're going to make my second line up here. Okay, so we're going to make this second line at the top is our target line, and we're going to make it a thicker stroke. I'm going to just make it like 3, maybe 4 points. I'm going to select those two lines. I'm going to go to Object, Blend, Make. Okay, so what that's done is that's just filled even steps, whatever the last settings was. So I'm going to go back to my blend again after I've made it, and I'm going to go Blend Options. And instead of Smooth Color, I'm going to go Specified Steps. So it's going to fill that in, but I'm just going to hold down the arrow key to cut that down to like a much more reasonable number, like maybe like that. Okay, so to kind of get that sense of the line getting thicker to thin, you need to make the stroke on the end of the blend, so you can double click into it, and we can increase this to like 7 point, and then just make this like a half point. So that kind of creates that faded line effect for the horizontal line. Okay, so that's the first part of that grid, and now we're going to just draw 2 more lines. We're going to do our center line in this particular case. It's just going to go here, and we're going to make it like 7 point, so that it matches this thing. I think it was 7 points that I made my target line here in the foreground. So now we're going to take this shape, and I'm just going to go Object, Path, Outline, Stroke to make this into a rectangle. And I'm going to go down and grab these 2 corners to kind of make it like a wedge that goes down to like a 1 point line like that. I'm going to duplicate this shape over like this, right to the right hand side. And now we're going to mask this all out. I guess I could probably rotate this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to take this and drag it out like that with the direct selection tool just to create my angle. And the same thing now, I'm going to make a blend from this shape to this shape. I'm going to go to my blend options because I'm going to want more steps than that. Okay, I want specified steps, more than 2. You can kind of just do it in real time like that so it looks good. So I'd say that sort of looks about right. And we're just going to duplicate, right? We're going to reflect that blend over this way. And I'm just going to say reflect it horizontally, hit copy to make a duplicate of it. And let's move that over like that. So there we kind of have our Tron 3D kind of grid that's all just been built quite easily out of just a couple of blends. So once we're happy with that shape, I mean, I might want to give myself more space. So I'm just going to make this blend wider just so it covers the whole thing. Okay, but now I'm sort of happy
That
with...
is so much easier than what I did. I used like the perspective grid.
That's what I tried too. I got frustrated
Yeah,
with
that
it.
was what I did. And like you just showed me this and I'm like, oh wow, that's so basic. Like
Seems like it, doesn't it? Now, what I did to make the sort of laser glowy effect is actually trickier by a long shot, but it kind of um, how did I do it actually? No, it took me quite a while to figure it out because I was like, well, I want my laser to get skinny. I want the gradient to follow the shape, like the contour of the shape. But I did it with, what did I do? I made like a gradient. Shit, it was a while ago that I did it. I should have recorded it when I did it too, so I could remember it for myself. Um, but anyways, what can we do here? Let me just sort of think through this because I've got a shape in one hand. And, oh, I know what I could do. I'm just gonna undo that. I'm gonna rebuild that blend with strokes instead of a shape. I'm just gonna delete this. Okay, so this is a blend made of strokes. I'm gonna do a blend made of a stroke that starts in the middle, just straight down. But instead of making it into a rectangle, I'm gonna use a width profile. That'll work better because now that's, so what I can do is you can make gradients, and this will probably work better if I put like a black background, I think, in behind it. Let's just take a look at our swatches that we've got to work with here first. Yeah, I'm going to make what might work pretty well with this dark blue. So I'm just going to put this dark blue in the background. Might have to change this color later, but we'll see how this works. Okay, so we've got this kind of really bright fuchsia color, blue, so we could make a kind of like a laser kind of gradient out of any of these colors here. So I'm gonna make like take this bright kind of magenta fuchsia laser color and make one out of that. I'm gonna make a gradient first. So the gradient's gonna go from the bright color there. I'm just going to need 4 points in here. So these are going to be a 0% opacity, so transparency on the outside. Keep accidentally clicking in there. And then this one is going to be, well, this isn't a global. I need to make sure these are, what is global? What am I doing here? And then this is just going to kind of be white like this. And I'm going to kind of really constrain the ramp so it's kind of like the middle of it super bright. So you can kind of see the beginning of sort of the laser. We'll mess around with it a little bit once we've applied it to our stroke. But I'm going to save that. I kind of want it to be right in the middle. So actually this is where you use the location thing to get it exactly right. Accidentally clicking the wrong damn thing. So this I want 50% to put it right in the middle of the gradient. This one I want at like 80. And I want to do the same thing over here, so 20. So now it's right in the middle of the whatever shape we apply it to, so I'm going to save that. So that's my kind of first laser gradient. So now when I go to my stroke effects, I can actually apply this. You can kind of see like it's only going to work once I apply. Actually, I can go and apply it to this now. Except I need to go into the actual stroke. And we want to select the apply a gradient across stroke instead of within stroke, I think. Yeah. And I want to go down to and apply it here too, to the bottom side of the blend. I might have to rebuild that blend. That's not quite applying the way I thought it would. Anyways, we'll do that. We'll do that second. Let's get our angled one going first. So I'm going to keep it as a stroke, and I'm just going to drag this point out like this. Again, I want my gradient to follow the stroke. Object, blend, make. I'm going to go into my blend options again. Why is that not following across the stroke the way I got it to before? It doesn't look bad, but it's not what I want. I actually want... Did I have to expand the appearance before? Because it's not really applying it across the stroke the way I really want it to.
It looks like it only applied it to like the first stroke you did.
Yeah, it only did it to the first and the second, and I want it to actually go everything in between. I think what I had to do is I had to expand the appearance first. I'm pretty sure that's what I had to do before making a blend out of it. So I can just make sure these are two separate shapes. Yeah. So expand appearance. Yeah. So what that's done is that's actually made, this is going to make a pretty, it's going to take a lot of memory to do this actually. But let's just see how it behaves. Object, blend, make. Oh, I don't even know if it's going to let me make a blend out of that. You know what? I bet you the way it expanded this appearance is kind of stupid. It worked here. That made sense because now it's a fill that goes like that. So I'm going to take this shape and just rotate it rather than... Yeah, that makes more sense. Now I should be able to blend those. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's just the way that it treats the strokes. You got to make these into expanded shapes before you can apply the blend. So then blend options. And we want specified steps. Yeah, it's looking a lot better. Okay.
And you're going to post this on your YouTube after, right?
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, I'm sort of relearning how to do this. I mean, I got it working well, but I'm going to release this blend now. I'm going to take, let's just zoom in close and make sure this is actually applying the way I really want it to. It's really thin, but it's there. Okay. So now I'm going to expand the appearance for both of these shapes. So object, expand. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, when I check that gradient, it's got a question mark when really it should just be like this. And why it's not, I don't even know why it's not aligned out. It might be just too. Okay. So this is the other thing too. I guess making a stroke, it's not, I don't have to do it that way. I could just take this and I'm gonna make it wider because this looks good. I could have sworn I'd done it with strokes before, but I guess I didn't. I must have ended up doing it with shapes. So I'm just going to take this, duplicate it, and I'm just going to squish this rectangle down so it's really skinny to get that blended effect. I think I'm going to have to zoom in quite close to even get it there. Oh, because it's still in the stroke. What am I doing? Okay, I've somehow broken something here. This isn't quite working quite right. Let's make sure my stroke is at 0. I've kind of gone through a bit of a weird process there and created a shape that Illustrator's not going to work with. It is rendering it, but it's kind of goofy. So let's just go back to this one that I duplicated. Yeah, that's still using the stroke, and I don't want that. Let's start again. Let's just draw a rectangle. I think when I expanded the appearance, I got something that wasn't really what I needed. So I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees to line up with the rectangle with a fill, and I'm going to duplicate that down to the bottom, and then I'm going to zoom in real close and just make a real skinny box with that gradient. That works a lot better. Okay, so now I can blend that shape. Take that number down to something like right about there. Looks about right, I would say. Now, here's the thing that I remember I was trying to work out before as well, is like, well, I want these lines to get closer together, not just thinner. And how did I do that? Did I scale the blend? I don't think that's going to work. Trying to remember what I did here. Did I use the envelope distort? Perspective distort. No. Sorry, I'm just really trying to remember what I did. I remember I did like a... I think I might have expanded the appearance of the gradient first. No, that can't be right. I totally got it working. I might have to go back and open up my working file to try and find it. But I mean, I'm kind of being overly picky about it here. This is still working, but I suppose you could just kind of manually adjust the spacing afterwards. Let's release this blend now that it's done. I guess that's the only real way I could. I did it without expanding it. I definitely maintained the blends because I didn't want to convert each thing to a bunch of specified objects. Because if I expand this, what it's going to do is the gradient is going to... Actually, no, that didn't do a bad job. That's not too bad. Okay. Let's see. Next. Pretty sure I didn't use a envelope distort. Shoot, I wish I could remember what I did, because it probably would help if I take a few minutes to go and find my actual file. But I think you can sort of see what the goal is there to get that gradient. Here
Yeah, like the gradient helped the most because like when I was trying to get mine to glow, like I tried things like outer glow and it just made it look fuzzy. So like that gradient is just gonna change it so much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know where I've kept the version of the file that I made. Thing is, it ended up taking up a lot of memory, but it still worked. It just didn't render that fast. But just let me. I'm pretty sure I can find it here. Well, that was sort of getting the laser effect, but where's the one that has the grid? Thing is, I might have. Now there's the grid, kind of doing exactly what I wanted it to do, but I have a feeling I kind of flattened it all out in Photoshop. Let's just see what I did here. Yeah, I flattened that all out in the photo. Oh no, that's still a blend. Okay, let's see what I did then. Yeah, so I used the profile stroke and I applied the gradient along the stroke. Okay, so that worked. And how did I do this foreground overlay? Jesus. Looking back over my own stuff going, wow, who's the genius who did this thing? That looks like it's a blend as well. Clip group, rectangle, ellipse shapes. Oh, ew. I blended, oh right, because I wanted it curved. Now I remember. Still, same basic idea applies. I just would have had an ellipse with yeah, it's the same basic principle, I guess. It's not all that different. It's just that I'm using the difference appearance type here is, what is it? This file is super unresponsive because it takes a lot of memory to render this, but I don't know. I'd have to break that one down to show how I see how I got that. The color dodge over black. That's what it is. Anyway, that's a little bit separate from how to get the actual shapes. It's pretty close. I don't think I ever did actually work out how to get my horizontal lines to get further apart. I think I just ended up going, well, that's giving me enough of the effect. I'm happy with that, which I would be. So yeah, I mean, basically just using the gradient and then doing the blend from one shape to the other, and then reflect it, and then just move it over. And there you go. You kind of got your sort of overlay laser effects. Now, to get that kind of real laser effect, you need to actually just use a black and white gradient over a color and then apply color dodge. I'm just going to quickly test it here to see what it looks like when I change the appearance to color dodge. The only real difference that it makes is pretty subtle, is when you zoom in, you kind of get these sort of hot spots where the gradients intersect, which is kind of nice. Kind of gives it more of a laser type of effect. So I don't know. It's kind of a subtle difference, I guess, in this particular case. I sort of got more intense glow effects with bigger gradients, basically, in other treatments. But I think for getting that laser grid in the background, you can pop that in, mask that out, and it would give you that effect that you're going for, just using the blends and the gradients. So hopefully that helps. So you think that's gonna cover things a little bit for you there? Will that be enough?
Yes, thank you so much. It looks better than my grid. I am so thankful.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that comes together for you. I could have sworn I had gotten better effects before, though. I gotta think on that one a little bit. I know there was a way that I had come up with to get that real sense of perspective for the spacing. I'm just gonna have to fiddle around with that a little bit longer.